30 seconds.
Welcome to today's Youth Council meeting. Today is June 13th, 2023. It is currently 2:36 p.m. and I'm going to call this meeting to order. So next is attendance. Just say here when you hear your name. Ahmed Othman,
Here.
Aliyah Tui,
Here.
Allah Othman, not here. Druvy's not here, Elizabeth's not here. Juliana Spalding, here. Madeline Naper.
Here.
I apologize, Matt over. Olivia's not here. Paige, not. Sadie
Here.
And Thomas.
Here.
Okay. Next on the agenda is public comment. So is there anyone from the public here? Could you state your name and address, please?
Jennifer Fanning, 4 Pheasantwood Drive in Wakefield.
Is there what is your concern that you would like to bring to the council?
Yeah, I wanted to use the public participation time, which I understand is about 3 minutes, to talk about or present to the council the plan to build the new vocational school on the forested hilltop. I'll try to kind of go quickly through the reason that I want to bring this to the youth council. So people, the council may be aware that the vocational school will be getting a new school building, which they do very much need. But the current plan is to build the new school on the rocky hill that's across from the current school, where there's currently a forest. So building the school there will involve cutting down the forest, about 14 acres of native forest, and blasting the hill to make it flat, although it will still be a hill even after all of the blasting. And I'm part of a group of people from the school district who are asking for the school to reconsider and to build the new school on its playing fields, which is something that many schools in Massachusetts do when they're building a new school. Many schools build the new school on the playing fields, and then they tear down the old school and they put the new playing fields where the old school building was. And the vocational school had were presented with 2 options for, how they could do that. But the committee that makes the decisions voted instead that they wanted to, they preferred a 3rd option, which involved cutting down the forest that's on campus and blasting the hill in order to put the school up on the hill. I first learned about this plan about a year ago from a friend, and my first thought when I heard about it was that I assumed there was a good reason for putting the school on the hill, so I thought it was a matter of sort of competing goods or the greater good to put the school on the hill, and I wasn't really interested in getting involved in sort of a fight over where the school goes or the forest, because I figured there was a good reason for the school to go there. But after walking the forest with my friend and kind of going, up on the hill and sort of seeing the environment where it would be built, it really hit home how it's actually really not a good site for a school to go. And I think you can appreciate that when you do walk in the forest and see how difficult it will be for students to access the school when it's there and up on a hill. And students who drive will have to park in the current parking lot that's at the vocational school and walk up basically a 60 vertical foot elevation change to get up to the building, outdoors in all weather conditions. and cross a road with stopping traffic, again, outdoors in all weather conditions. So it's going to be challenging for all students. It's probably going to be particularly difficult for students with mobility issues to go between the parking lot and the school, or between the school and the playing fields if they want to go to a game or participate in recreational activities. It's going to put additional kind of burden on students with mobility challenges to do that, even though technically it may be ADA compliant. Their ADA access ramp, Americans with Disabilities access ramp, will be about 3 football fields long, 1,100 feet long. So it may be technically compliant, but the design of the school is not really going to be very inclusive for kind of diverse students. I think a lot of people aren't really familiar with that forest. People are more familiar with Breakheart, but this forest is
About 30 seconds left.
Okay. It's within Wakefield town line, so it's Wakefield's forest, and it's actually the only core forest habitat in Wakefield, which means it's the only forest that's designated by the state as critical to preserving biodiversity in Wakefield. And it's scheduled to be cut down if it moves forward. I would ask and encourage the youth council, either as a council or individually, to learn more about this project. I think other people will find, as I have, that building on the playing fields would lead to a better quality school for the students, a safer school with less risk of injury, less environmentally destructive, and would have a faster building time. The designs have already been drafted, and a school the same size could be built on the playing fields. So I would encourage the members of the council, either as a council or individually, to learn more about this project. You can feel free to reach out to me if I can point you in the direction of more information about it. Thanks very much.
Thank you for your time. Did anyone have any questions? Okay. Moving on to our next item. So we have the approval of minute meeting from May 10th. Ali?
Yes. All right. So on May 10th, we had our presentation from GLAD, in which Lana Leonard gave a presentation regarding the organization and what they work towards, specifically towards LGBTQ inclusion and equality, and how they've worked towards that in the past in Hollywood and the media. Lana explained some of the terminology and history of LGBTQ and how the rise in anti-LGBTQ bills and laws has impacted members of this community. And then also Catherine gave some local data information about how LGBTQ students in Wakefield are disproportionately affected by certain issues, such as not feeling safe or connected at school, being bullied at higher rates, and suicide rates are higher. And then we talked about how the youth council can work at the town level to support and work with the elected community and other members to work on LGBTQ inclusivity in the town, including contacting school committee and communicating with local programs. Then we had an update on the Warrior cleanup, explaining that the video was made at WCAT and that an event was posted on Patch. And then for liaison updates, Juliana updated us on Safe Streets and talking about there's going to be a bike valet run by the Youth Council and Youth Action Team, and that we're going to need volunteers to staff that. And then we just talked about some of the logistical stuff regarding that. Then Paige shared that the Wakefield Human Rights Commission will be holding a pride flag raising, and that we'll be posting that on social media. And then we discussed how Dhruvi of Manu's liaison the Veteran Services is holding a flag placement event, and we talked briefly about that. And then the Dementia Friends program that we discussed. And then we talked about the communications subcommittee, some of the updates from that, about the previous upcoming meeting, and that the youth council applications had been the focus primarily of some of the previous work of the subcommittee. And then for just general announcements, it was that the youth council applications process was complete and that the reviews are being initiated, and then we adjourned. So that was all.
Thank you so much. You have a busy meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept the minutes from our last meeting?
I motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, when you go down I'm gonna go down the list and just say yes or no. Ahmed Othman,
Yes.
Alia Tui,
Yes.
Juliana Spalding,
Yes.
Madeline Naper,
Yes.
Sadie Lomnack,
Yes.
and Thomas Arenado.
Yes.
Okay. So next on our agenda is a debrief about the Warrior cleanup. So the event took place on May 20th, 10 a.m. to noon. We had some rain, so we wrapped it up a little earlier, but I would say it was a pretty successful event. So us and working through Maggie Schaffer from the Warrior cleanup crew hosted this event. I saw Ahmed Ali and Juliana there. I know we did some advertising for it. And I would say it was an overall successful event. Did you guys want to add anything?
Yeah, I thought that it was, as you said, I thought it was very successful. There was a pretty decent turnout. A lot of parents came with their kids, and some teenagers came too. So I thought that was great. And overall, I would say, then just looking at the volume of trash that was collected, I feel like it put a spotlight on the issue that trash, especially in that area, can bring, and something that the youth cares about. So I think that that's important.
Yeah, definitely, especially being even like cut off short by like a half an hour or so. Like even like I think we were out there for like an hour and a half or so, like seeing how much trash we could pick up. And I know, Ahmed, we discussed like some future plans that we could maybe do. Did you want to kind of mention some ideas you had for the future?
Yeah, based on what I remember, I think I'm a leader of the Social Winners Interact Club at Wakefield Memorial High School. And I think I mentioned to her how we could possibly partner up with that club in order to, and also the youth council, in order to gain more attendance and to just make it a little, a bigger event. I think she also said she had some sponsors that would potentially be interested in sponsoring another event with even more resources. And also, even with the Warrior cleanup event that we just had, I was really surprised by the creativity of the people there and where they really found the trash. I mean, some of them went like deep into the forests to find the trash, so that was pretty interesting. And yeah, I think the future is bright. I think we need to keep our relationship with them strong.
Yeah, definitely. And as we like do the bike ballet too, which we'll get to, I think maybe like advertising this would be good.
Yes.
Any last comments? Okay, so moving on to the bike ballet. So I did reach out to Jonathan Chines about accepting tips. And like if we were to go forward with that. And he said that if it's like under around $10, then it would be fine from individuals. If it's probably around like 15 or higher, probably take down their name and address and would bring it to council. But I think that would be a really great way to get some funding for the youth council for future projects if we were to work with Maggie from the Warrior cleanup crew again, things like that. I think having a budget and having some financial flexibility would be helpful, and maybe pursuing also into a grant or something for next year. I don't know if you had any in mind, Catherine.
I think that's absolutely something that we could look at doing, is putting together a grant proposal, maybe with a local funder to just fund the youth council. I do have to run that by town council to see, because we are a governing body. But yeah, that's something that we can definitely explore.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. And then I also mentioned to Jonathan Chines about getting into the fiscal budget for 2024 and 25. And he said that we could probably discuss it more in the fall, since it's a little early, but kind of just keeping that in mind and, revisiting it a little bit later, I think would be a good idea.
And I think I might have mentioned this at our last meeting, but I don't know how budgeting necessarily works, but if it turns out to be a process that may be too long, or I don't know how to put it, but strenuous to put on the general council, we could always just like delegate it to a working group composed of certain members that would be interested in that. So that's something also to consider.
Yeah, and what I would suggest is that whatever happens, you you put together maybe a subcommittee or maybe within the general council, but you put together a proposal. We, do some research and look at what other boards might have for some flexibility in their budgets. And then put together a reason why it would be helpful for you all to have a budget.
Yeah, definitely. And also if we do go to town council at any point to give like a summary of kind of what we've been doing and what we've been up to. I think it could be helpful to kind of, display everything that we've been doing and then be like, well, if we had some like a budget to this, then we could probably do more in the future. So kind of to give them a heads up or an idea about that. So Juliana, since this is kind of your project that you're leading, do you have any updates?
Not any major updates, just that we have the first week filled up and
Do you want to give an overview again for any members that weren't here, what this initiative, where it came from and what it looks like?
so I'm the liaison to the Safe Streets Working Group, and our goal is to kind of just make Wakefield a safer place for pedestrians and just people not in cars. And so our goal with the bike valet down at the farmer's market is to give people a reason or just like a sense of security about taking their bikes to the farmer's market. They're not just leaving them piled up next to the tree. They're gonna they'll be watched over by like volunteers that are trusted. They'll be put on a bike rack and we'll have cards to give out to these people that they can just come back and match up the cards and retrieve their bikes when they're done at the farmer's market. There will be 2.5 hour shifts every Saturday. The first one is from 8:30 to 11, and then the second one is from 11 to 1:30. 2 people staff each shift. So one person would sit at the table and kind of check people in and out, and the second person would handle the bikes. Doesn't really matter which role each person does. You can switch throughout the entire thing too. Oh, and it's going to be kind of across from the WMGLD building because there's going to be a little bit of construction going on.
And why is there construction going on North Ave?
I believe they're putting in bike lanes and just kind of starting the Envision plan to make Wakefield a more bike-friendly place.
And can everyone here see the flyers, Madeline? We'll make sure you get emailed. Is this flyer final,
Yes.
Juliana? And can you explain what this flyer is for?
So this flyer is to just kind of promote it. There's also an online version, which is why there's a link, but it's to just get the word out. It links to a sign up Genius where you can sign up for any of the open shifts. The farmer's market runs from June 16th until I believe October 28th. So there's shifts every Saturday until October that you can sign up for to staff the bike valet.
And it's a great way to get community service hours. So what we need is youth council members to help promote this so we can get as many youth signing up. Because we have if you look at 4 volunteers a week for now till October, that's a lot of volunteers that we're going to need to recruit. But Miss Delory, who does the National Honor Society, she was part of the meeting too. So she's going to help promote it to people that are candidates for National Honor Society to get
Yeah, I
volunteer
think she
hours.
already put it on the Google Classroom. I saw that.
Ooh, did we get any signups?
None from the National Honor Society, but 2
Okay.
outside ones.
Okay, so we'll start to, so Ollie, maybe you can kind of take it from here with the communications team.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe also mention that we can give, community service hours for other things like National Honor Society that might need it too. I think that could make people want to do it.
Do you
or
think you could add that to this flyer?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's add that, the community service hours and documentation available. And then send it to Ali and he can put it in the on the Instagram,
Yes.
well, you and Madeline, and then we probably should get a press release in the paper, Juliana. So do you want Ali to take care of that, or do you want to do the press release?
Would you feel comfortable doing that? I'm just
Yeah.
not familiar with the
Yeah,
process.
yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mhm.
and then you can send it to me,
Yeah.
I'll get it
Yeah, I'll
submitted
do
to the paper. Excellent. I know it's a busy time with finals and everything, but I think it'll be good publicity for the bike ballet and biking to the farmers market, great publicity for the youth council. You do have a liaison from the youth action team who's going to help with that. So that's Alexis Manzi. You know
Okay,
Alexis.
yeah,
Yeah, so she's your liaison from the youth action team to help promote youth signing up for this too. So, because it is going to take a lot of effort. As we experienced with Snow Angels. Juliana, you just keep on taking on these big projects. We really appreciate it.
Okay, moving on, are there any other liaison updates? Ahmed?
So sorry, let me just pull up my notes.
Yeah, no worries.
And I am the liaison to the communications subcommittee. Sorry, excuse me. I am the liaison to the school committee, actually. And I've also been to a lot of policy subcommittee meetings, and I have some updates from them. So they're voting on the student representative policy at the next school subcommittee. This was something I brought up previously to the council. And it's basically just a way of getting our student representatives more ingrained within the meetings and actually having them sit like side by side with the school committee members rather than just be like almost an extra addition. I was voted student representative for my school, for my grade, Friday during student elections, so I'll also be a part of that next year. And the logo vote for I know last year we had like a logo committee for the school. They have two graphics that they're choosing between during the next meeting as well. And as for school start times, which I know Alexis Manzi has come into here and presented to us about, and we voted, I'm pretty sure, to um
Endorse.
excuse me, to endorse it. They're trying to get it on the agenda, but it's going to happen soon. Might not happen next meeting, but they're hoping to get that started up because there's going to be a lot of research and a lot of debate regarding it.
Okay, so later school start times is moving forward.
Not officially, but it's like it's moving forward within they're trying to get it on the agenda for school committee.
Okay, so they're trying to get it on a school committee agenda. And then the logo discussion, are those the only two logos that they're considering?
Unless another logo gets brought to the table.
Okay.
But those were two, I'm pretty sure. I was on the committee as a freshman. I think those are the two logos that we all voted on and we agreed seemed the most representative of Wakefield. And the data presentations and academic student growth measures have been promised for the next meeting, just to see how our students have grown throughout the past year.
Great.
I think there could be another logo on the table. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but I think the art department might be bringing one
Oh.
to the table as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah.
they weren't the ones that brought those two?
I think those two were student made,
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
but
because I believe, we were both actually
Yeah,
on
we were both.
the committee last year, and they opened it up to students and the community. So I think one was student made and one was community member made, I think so. 'Cause I think that
Yeah.
they've moved away from the one that they're currently using, the one that the athletic department is currently using. So yeah.
But yeah, he also stated that if anyone were to bring a logo to the table, I think it would also be considered.
Mhm.
oh, that's
Yeah,
good. So
exciting
those two that I saw aren't necessarily the only options.
No, well, I mean,
Okay.
for now, technically the only options, but I'm sure they're still open to other decisions.
Okay,
Yeah. Also, since we did endorse the later school start times, once that is brought to the agenda more, I think we could work on maybe like posting about it and getting the word out too. Were there any other updates from people's liaisons? Okay. Moving on to an update from the communication subcommittee. Ali, would you like to give an update?
Yeah, so the last meeting that we were supposed to have was canceled due to quorum requirements. But just some general stuff. So now that the school year is pretty much over, so the youth interest survey that we had previously planned to be sent out in May, just due to all the stuff with applications. So we'll probably send that out early next school year. maybe around October, but that might be, that'll be something that the Communications Outreach Subcommittee will discuss in further detail. And then aside from that, we already discussed the success of the Warrior cleanup, and that was great. And then besides that, the posting calendar, we're continuing to update it with a lot of the posts that we've recently sent out between the last meeting and now. So
All right, great. And you guys will work on
Yes.
this, the bike ballet project,
yes,
which I think is a great summer initiative. It's nice that the youth council will be active in the summer, even though it tends to be a quieter time.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Okay, moving on. To the next youth council cycle. Catherine, did you have anything?
Yeah, I wanted to give everyone an update on the youth council cycle. It was a little bittersweet for me because there were some students that didn't reapply, but there were a lot of new students that applied and a lot of returning students that applied. So it made it a very competitive process this year. So I'm going to be so what I did was I had with all the new applicants, I had two of our alumni. So some of you that have been on the council might remember Anthony Amachucci and Alyssa Toppy, who are now college students. So they we set up the interview schedule. They did all the interviews with candidates and then presented me with their choices. And then with the existing youth council members, we I reached out to a few people for their thoughts, and I also took a look at attendance records. I took a look at their engagement with their liaison role, and that way we were able to, with the youth council alumni, come up with the current slate. So do you want me to read it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this was approved by the town council last night. So unfortunately, there were a lot of people that did not make it, which really is something that we can discuss at a future meeting, how to engage those folks that aren't on it. But for the middle school voting members, we have Annabeth Worrell, James Brogna, and Nathaniel Chines. For the high school voting members, we have Ahmed Othman, Alia Tui, Juliana Spalding, Madeline Naper, Olivia Wall, Michaela Lyons, Vanessa Westlake, William Buswell, Thomas Baronato, Maya Pollack, and Sophia Panaghetti. And we are going to have one alternate non-voting member, Aaron Caldo. So that way, if someone can't fulfill their duties, we're going to look at the handbook that Sherry Dalton has put together for people that participate in boards. If someone can't fulfill their duties, then there's a possibility to take that non-voting member and make them a voting member. So those folks were, so congratulations to many of you. You were reappointed and voted in last night. So the cycle will start July 1st with people getting re-sworn in. Actually, I don't know. Do you have to
yeah.
Yeah, you have to get sworn in again. So for some of you, this is year 3 or 4 of getting sworn in. And then we'll do again an orientation in July. We'll have pizza and ice cream and kind of go over some things.
So when would the orientation be? Because I'm going to be overseas till end of July 26th.
Okay, I'll try to do it. I try to do it the same every year. So if someone can't make it and you're a returning member, that's okay. Not everyone's going to be able to make it, but we do try to have a good amount of folks there. And so we'll do the orientation in July and then start up meetings in probably late August. And we'll probably try to do a combination of what we did this year, a combination of in-person meetings and hybrid meetings. Does
Yeah, I
anyone
think
have
that
any
works well.
questions?
I also just wanted to mention that Jonathan Chines, our liaison from the town council, will be no longer with us next year due to family conflicts. So we will be having Julie Smith Galvin with us next year. So we're glad to have her and join and have her learn more about youth council.
Yeah, we're really lucky having Jonathan for the past 2 years, and then Julie is a very experienced town councilor and just a really nice person in general. So I think she'll be able to support the youth council very well. And we're hoping to have a teacher co-advisor with me. So stay tuned on that. We're hoping to have someone from the high school join us as a co-advisor.
Mhm. So moving on, are there any general announcements or anything that we missed? Okay. So I guess we don't have to determine our next meeting date. That would be the next. Catherine,
What?
we don't have to determine our next
No,
meeting
we don't
date.
have to determine that.
And then I don't think we missed anything. Any other issues we have to discuss? No. Okay, so finally, do I have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
I motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Ahmed Othman,
Yes.
Aaliyah Tui,
Yes.
Juliana Spalding,
Yes.
Madeline Naper,
Yes.
Sadie Lomnack,
Yes.
and Thomas Baronato.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes today's meeting. Thank you for being here.
All right.